Hello everyone and welcome to our new video. In this video, we are going to continue on Helm, and this video is in continuation to our previous videos where we have discussed a lot about the Helm and the configuration and how we can use the Helm. So if you have not watched those videos, please go ahead and watch those videos. And uh, so for that, you can continue watching this video. So let's get ahead and let's look at Helm hooks in this video. Okay. So Helm hooks are a powerful feature that allows you to perform the custom actions when deploying or deleting a Helm chart. Okay, what this means. So hooks are defined in the Helm chart and executed by the Helm engine, which runs the hooks automatically during a certain events in the deployment or the deletion process. What this means is that if you want to create an automation inside the Helm, it allows you to perform certain actions. Now, these actions can be done in depending upon the events that is happening. And you can take these events before deploying, when you are deploying or deleting a Helm chart, right? So there are a number of hooks that has been created, which helps you in the automation during the deployment using the hooks. So let's go ahead and discuss more about this hooks, basically how this works. So first, let's try to understand the Helm hooks itself. So Helm hooks is a way to perform custom actions during the certain events or the lifecycle during the Helm chart. And basically the events in which the hooks can be executed are basically when you are going to pre-install, when you are going to install your application. So there can be certain actions that you can take before it that is known as pre-install. And you can take after install as well. So those are known as post-install. Then you can, this is when you are deploying a newer application. So these pre-install and post-install are going to come into the action. But what if your application is already there? Then you need to change its version. Might be your application has upgraded, right? A new version is there. So you can actually take the action using the hooks pre-upgrade, post-upgrade, pre-delete, and post-delete. So depending upon what you are actually doing, whether it's a new application that you are deploying, so a pre-install and post-install will come into the picture. If you are upgrading your application, then pre-upgrade and post-upgrade is going to come into the picture. If you are deleting, then pre-delete and post-delete are going to come into the picture. So hooks can be used to perform a variety of actions. What kind of action? Such as creating and deleting the Kubernetes objects, running a script or command, or sending a notification. So these are essential, because that way you can be certain that certain automation, like before deleting pod, you are able to gather the logs or some other important data. So you can go ahead and create a script around it, and you can be sure that it executes before deletion of the pod that certain amount of data or certain configuration or whatever you want to gather out of a pod that is taken out. Then the pod actually deletes, and then you are able to take a cleanup action, send out a notification, something like that, right? So these are where you can fit your Helm hooks and create the automation around it. Okay, now second is you are going to define a pre-install hook. Now, what is a pre-install hook? So we already discussed about this, that it is executed before a chart gets installed. So you can use this hook to perform actions let's say your application is dependent upon a config map, so it's or a secret, so it's going to create that config map or secret before your application gets installed, right? Because your application might be fetching that config from the config map. If that config is not available, it might not be able to connect to the database or some other third-party tool which your application dependent, and it might not come up, right? So it makes sense that these actions are performed pre-install, and for that you are going to create a pre-install hook in the templates. And for doing that, following is the example where you are using API version v1 kind config map metadata name my config map annotations. Inside the annotations, if you see, there is a helm.sh hook and pre-install. Now, this line clearly denotes inside the annotation that you are trying to execute a pre-install hook, where you are simply saying that this is a step which needs to be done before you perform the installation, right? So it's going to make sure that this config map, my config map is there, and these key values, my value equal to hello world, this gets created inside the config map. Now I've just taken an example. It can be any configuration depending upon your application, which type of application you are creating. So you can set up the values, but the major idea here is that you can configure this as a pre-install so that Helm understands that this is what needs to be created before the actual installation starts. So this way you can sequentialize the config map before your application gets installed. Now, in this, so in this example, a config map resource called my config map will be created, and helm.hook annotation is set to pre-install. So its data is string value is going to be retrieved, and the hook is executed, and the chart is installed, and it will create the config map resource on the specified data. Okay. Now, this was pre-installed where we were creating a config map before installing our application. And similarly, there is a post-install hook as well. Now, what is a post-install hook, which gets executed after the chart has been installed? You can use this hook to perform actions after the chart is deployed, such as executing a command line tool or sending a notification. Okay, so let's understand this from an example, like why will we execute some command line tool, or why will we send a notification like that? So if you look at the another example, in this case, we are creating a pod. Okay, and this is the pod name is my pod annotation. So what we have defined inside annotation is that there is a post-install action that needs to be performed. And if you check the, for the specification containers, name my container, my image, right? So this basically, this is a post-install which needs to be done, right? Basically this pod needs to be created. So in this example, basically a pod resource called my pod, and a single container runs my image is created from the my image. Okay, and this annotation is set to post install, which means that this hook will be executed after the chart is installed. So once your major the chart has been installed by the Helm, then it will execute this post install action, in which it's going to create a pod from my image, which is called my container, and it will be created that my container is created inside my pod. Okay, depending upon the configuration. Now I have taken here the example of a pod, but it can be anything. So you might have certain steps, like you might want to set up the monitoring or execute some custom scripts for monitoring your applications, or sending that data to the monitoring system, and so on. So right, you can configure those kind of post-install actions as well. Okay, then other types of hooks. So in addition to pre-install and post-install that we have just discussed, we have other like pre-upgrade, post-upgrade, pre-delete, and post-delete hooks as well. These hooks allows you to perform the custom actions during the upgrade or deletion process of the chart. Okay, now next is test and verify. So this pre-upgrade and post-upgrade is pretty much specified. Like if you want to stop the application before the upgradation, and then you want to start it again after the upgradation, so you can configure accordingly. And similarly as with the pre-delete and post-delete. However, usually we don't stop the application. We normally go on creating the pod, but depending upon what use case you are having, you can perform these actions depending upon the hooks which are being specified here. Okay, next is test and verify hooks. Okay, now before using the hooks in a production environment, it is important to test and verify them in a development and the staging environment. So for doing that, you can actually use this dry run flag. Now this is very important, because this dry run flag is going to show you what is going to happen instead of without actually doing it. What this means is that when you are going to run Helm install and Helm upgrade command to simulate the installation and upgradation process, and ensure that the hooks are executed as expected, right? So it will not actually execute that when you are doing a dry run, but it will show you the output, which will certify that what is going to happen when you are going to run, right? So it will show you sequentialize that a pre-install, then the post-install actions and what actions are going to perform, but it will not actually perform because you are doing a dry run. And when you actually have done it, then it's going, when you remove it, then it's going to actually execute it. So in summary, Helm hooks is a powerful way through which we can perform custom actions during the installation, upgrade, or deletion of the Helm charts. By defining the hooks in the templates directory of a Helm chart, you can create more flexible, customizable deployment processes for your application and your services. So this is how you can actually test and verify and be sure that your hooks are getting executed before installation, post installation, upgrade, and deletion of the application inside the Kubernetes, and that makes Helm very powerful. All right, so that was all for this video. We are going to continue ahead in our next video further on the Helm. So if you have not subscribed to our channel, do subscribe to our channel. And if you are having some any doubts related to any of these topics, you can mention in the comments and I will try to reach you back. All right, so that's all for this video. See you on next video. Thank you.